Hi, I'm Tracy Newman.
Hey, and I'm Brian Ewing.
What are you doing?
Tracy, I thought we were doing my lumberjack quartet bit.
No, we have all these great stories like the Milwaukee Flyers.
But I wrote this joke about healthy trees being all bark and no blight.
No, I think I'm saving you from yourself. Let's just go right to the video.
The Milwaukee Flyers!
Milwaukee Flyers is a nonprofit organization that we formulated along with my brothers, Alan and Terrell Grant. We started in 2005 to give the kids something positive, productive to do. The reason being, we know firsthand because we were troubled youth growing up in the inner city of Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Flyers, you have two missions. One, of course, as you can see, acrobatic, time limiting. Now, we got the kids' attention. Now it's our job to mentor them, and try to guide them in that direction, that the reason why we started this program.
With this organization, it's power tumbling, power gymnastics. So we do multiple floor gymnastics tricks. We do trampoline tricks that you might have never seen before.
We do a lot of tricks, like dangerous tricks. It keep me out of trouble, it keep me out the streets, all that. It's like my second family. I wanted to get into it because, I already liked flipping. I've been doing this since I was 4. And so yeah, it was just another way to, put my talents out there instead of, keeping them to myself. It changed my life because, sometimes I go through a lot. And then when I start performing, it's really like escaping from reality, you know what I'm saying? This program has been putting me in towards like a right direction because it's like we got love for each other. Coach Sharp, he's not really like only a coach, he's also, a mentor, a father figure or something,
At the end of the day, it's about love that I provide to them, and just keep, making them feel wanted, special, and just being a part of something positive, in the community of Milwaukee.
Sometimes it's scary when we try to, do new tricks, you know what I'm saying? But most of the time it's like you zoned out, you and your, you know what I'm saying? You focus, you're not really thinking of nothing.
Yeah, it's been a good experience for me, and it really helped me shape my life. I came a long way. I could have been anywhere else, but God chose this path for me, and to have these men around me, they really tutored me and mentored me in the right direction of becoming the man that I am today.
As you can see, Curtis Chalmers, he was part of our team when we started in 2005. The kid has did a tremendous transformation from in and out of bad choices and decision makers to eventually going to college and making a life for himself.
Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. You can exceed that if you want to. As long as you got the thought of, being better and bettering yourself, you can do it.
They're fearless. They're daredevils. Like, they just have no fear. If you see them flying real high, it's like, how do you get so high? Like, how do you even do that? They're just fearless kids, They're just so determined and to, put that spark, in others' lives, like, the people that watch us perform. You can look at, the Milwaukee community. A lot of kids have 0 activities outside of school. And similar, just to provide something to do for the kids, just provide them with that opportunity to be a part of something other than just idle time in the inner city of Milwaukee.
Give it up for the Milwaukee Flyers!
Daddy, you having fun? You having fun, buddy? Oh my goodness, I know. They get called a pug all the time, but they're French Bulldogs. They're goofy, all of them. They're all goofy and weird in their own way. The way they play, they snort, just goofy dogs. We went to a Frenchie meetup in Madison, and we thought it would be a good idea to start one in the Milwaukee area so we didn't have to drive so far. And so now we meet up here, and there's usually about 30 Frenchies that show up now, and every time there's more. So it's crazy how many Frenchies there are in Milwaukee.
It's good for the dog socialization, and they make friends that they see, each month. And then it's fun to meet the Frenchie owners too, and chat and talk about funny experiences.
There's a lot of things, just asking if something's different or odd with your dog, if it's happened with anybody else that has the same breed as you. With puppies, how people do things different, or when do you feed your dog, what do you feed your dog? Since they're known to have health issues, what are you feeding your dog? Or if they have the same health issue, that you can kind of diagnose, do I need to change their food or stuff like that? So there's a lot of things like that. Or enrichment, how you can get dogs to use their brains different ways than playing if they're really needy. Let the dogs have fun, let them burn some energy on the weekends. They'll all sleep on the way home, and then my dog's always exhausted after this for like 2 days. But I think it's fun to meet up with other dog parents, just to hang out with, something to do on the weekend. Just people who like the same thing, Frenchies.
What a blacksmith does is heats iron, or steel, up to a temperature that it softens, usually about 1700 degrees. When the metal is that hot, it becomes pliable, so you can actually shape it and form it and make things out of it. Blacksmith was your local mechanic. He was your fix-it shop. If you had a piece of farm machinery break, or your horse needed shoes, you would go to the blacksmith. And you didn't have local hardware stores like you do now. You'd go to the blacksmith and he would make something for you. If you needed a latch for your door, or a handle for your door, or if you needed, like I said, something fixed, you went to the blacksmith and he did that for you. So he was a really critical part of the community. And that's why every community had one, and they were sought after. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a forge, and a forge is a special fireplace that the blacksmith uses in order to heat his steel. I build a fire in the forge. This lever operates a blower which forces air into the fire to fan the fire and make it hotter, because I'm trying to get it up to this high temperature. And when I'm at that temperature, my steel will be glowing orange, like that is. And at that point, it's flexible enough that I can shape it and bend it to make something out of it. One of the big transitions for a blacksmith shop, like I said, he was the community mechanic repair shop. A lot of them transitioned into automobile repair because that was the transition that they had to make back in the 20s and 30s. It really did almost die out in the 70s, but was revived through the interest of a number of people that started getting interested in the craft, more on an artistic side. It's really an artistic form as well. I mean, you can really be creative with it and do some beautiful work. Society, and not just America, but across the world.
Wisconsin really is kind of an agricultural powerhouse in its diversity. And everybody focuses a lot on the dairy, which has been really unique, but Wisconsin is a national leader in pea production, green peas for canning, snap beans, potatoes, cranberries, ginseng. You see a lot of corn because farmers like to plant corn. You get to see that big plant grow up and you see the big yields and so on, but it's an important part of especially the livestock industry in the state, whether it's growing corn silage, growing the corn for grain. But you also have a lot of grain farmers that are selling it as a end product for them. It's a full, busy, from start to finish kind of day. It's more like a 5 to 9 job. It's something you really have to enjoy. The challenges that go with it. I mean, that's obviously something that's been talked about in recent years with the financial struggles that a lot of farms have been having. But it's also some of the day-to-day struggles, or something goes wrong and you have to go to plan B or C or D. Some of it is, you have to like working with the animals, you have to like working with the soil, working with equipment, and every farmer has the different things that they're more comfortable with. And while some people might think, well, you're in the winter months, you get chores done in the morning and you get to sit in the house all day. That's not the case. We're busy 365 days a year. During winter months, we might focus more on trying to get equipment ready for the summer or the spring. It's doing maintenance, it's doing book work. We usually talk about January and February being meeting season. Whether it's meetings with extension, learn different techniques, technologies, new research that's come out that might be able to help us do a better job on our farm. Every farm is trying to do different things from a conservation standpoint to better cope with rain events and so on. You think of the moldboard plows and chisel plows and how we used to work all the soil before we planted things, and now we're trying to do more no-till and minimum till and strip till to try not to disturb the soil. Putting on cover crops during the winter months and having them there for the spring to help hold that soil in place, to help not only sequester carbon, but also keep that soil exactly where we want it so it doesn't end up in our rivers, streams, and lakes. Ultimately, it's trying to be a good steward of the land and of the soil for hopefully generations to come. Wisconsin, I think, is always going to be America's dairy state. It's too much a large part of our infrastructure, our heritage, our history here in the state of Wisconsin for that to change. It's just what that industry might look like going ahead that could be really unique or really special going forward.
To see more of our short stories, please visit our website at milwaukeepbs.org or check out our other social media platforms.
There we go. So this is the pump room. We're about 320 feet underground. This is where 28.5 miles of deep tunnel come to an end. Everything gets pumped out here and either sent to Jones Island or the Oak Creek plant, South Shore. 28.5 miles long. About 300 feet underground for the most part, and 17 to 32 feet in diameter. So it's massive, and it holds about 521 million gallons, and that's the whole point of this tunnel system, is to help reduce the risk of sewer overflows, and our highest priority during a storm is to keep wastewater out of people's basements. 1994 was the first full year of operation. Ever since then, we have captured and cleaned 98.4% of every drop of water that's gotten into the regional sewer system. This is the harbor siphon. There are two pipes that come in, one from this direction and one from the north, that go under the river, and then this siphon system brings it up to the plant to help lift it to a level where all the water could flow by gravity through the rest of the plant. So there are 4 stages, the first being screening, where big towels and other stuff that gets either flushed or gets into a storm drain, that gets taken out so it doesn't damage any equipment that we have or infrastructure. This is the second stage of treatment. So the solids sink to the bottom, oils and greases float to the top. We take all the solids and put them in a pipeline that goes down to the Oak Creek plant, and that goes into the anaerobic digester, and that's where it produces the gases to help us produce the energy we need to mostly run that plant. And then it goes to where the real workhorses of wastewater treatment are. It's called secondary treatment, where the bugs live, and the bugs eat organic material out of the wastewater. Right here, what you're seeing are the filter presses. We take the bugs out a certain portion each day, but this is how it comes in. It comes in, this is a special filter fabric that lets water drain out, but then the water is also squeezed out at this other end before it drops down and onto a conveyor belt. And then they go to the dryer. They're in the dryer until they hit a certain temperature that helps guarantee there's no pathogens left, potentially. And from there, we bag it, sell 9 different products. And then from there, it goes to disinfection, where we add a chlorine byproduct. Then we have to add another product to take the chlorine byproduct out before we discharge the water to the lake. This system has really paid huge dividends for Lake Michigan, which is also our drinking water, and for public health. It's been a great investment. There are a lot of cities around the country that would love to have the infrastructure that we have here in the Milwaukee area.
Well, the peace tree planting, the peace tree that you see over there is a white pine tree. So it has to be a white pine tree. That legend is 600 years old, and it comes from the Iroquois Confederacy in the northeastern part of the country. And it has to do with a tree where they were doing nothing but having wars and fighting, and they were disagreeing on everything.
There was a time in our history of our people, our ancestors, that there was great strife that was taking place amongst all of the peoples throughout North America, throughout all of the various places. And so it was at that time that it was decided that we say that there was a messenger that came amongst our people who was known as the peacemaker. And at that time, the peacemaker, he gathered nations together. And so we say that at that time, the peacemaker, he symbolized this particular kind of a tree, and he gave it a name, Skaluhyase Gowa, meaning it grows tall into the sky. It goes skyward because it's such a tall tree. He also named it Yundlahtase Gowa, the tree of long leaves. He also mentioned that. What we say today, Ohnehta, today is what we refer to as the white pine. And at that time, he said he understood that he was going to utilize this tree to be that symbol. Because if you look at these needles or these leaves on this white pine, there's a cluster of 5 that are bound together. And that symbolized the 5 nations that came together as a confederacy at that time. And today we say that this particular tree that we refer to as the tree of long leaves, the white pine, that this tree is a symbol of what we understand to be that brings us together as one. One mind, one heart, one spirit between one another as human beings here on this earth.
In Wisconsin, we celebrate our seasons as really the foundation for our natural diversity. And autumn sets the stage for one of our hallmark phenomena, and that is the fall colors. In Wisconsin, we're positioned at about 42 to 47 degrees north latitude. And that, combined with the inclination of Earth's axis as we're revolving around the sun, leads to climatic patterns, mostly temperature and precipitation, among others, that dictate what we have in our Wisconsin forests. Our Wisconsin forests are typical of a deciduous, temperate biome, including a lot of maple trees, oak trees, beech, birch, aspen. These deciduous trees are those that lose their leaves annually. As we head towards winter, and Earth is leaning away from the sun, and winter's coming, these trees receive signals. Shorter days or declining photo period, coupled with cooler temperatures, which are really like a call for preparedness that winter is coming. And the first things that the trees do is stop a production of chlorophyll, which is that magic pixie dust required for photosynthesis. When they stop producing chlorophyll, all the greens turn to yellow, orange, brown hues, and we also see a lot of bright reds, pinks, due to chemical changes within the tree and within the leaves that are required to retain nutrients throughout the winter. Now, because Earth has a pretty consistent physiographic location, we tend to see that same change in the leaves every year. Okay? The only variability would be related to maybe some cooler temperatures from one given year to another. But that peak fall color in the northern half of the state is going to reveal itself around the first or second week of October, and in the southern half of the state it comes shortly thereafter, maybe about the third week of October. What really leads to the most brilliant fall colors in our Wisconsin forests are wet spring, moderate summers, and then cool evening, but not freezing, but cool evening fall temperatures. The reason our deciduous trees lose their leaves is really threefold. Number one, during the growing season, the leaves are harnessing energy and sharing that with the rest of the trunk and the branches. And during the winter, they want to shut that valve off and shut that passageway off so that the rest of the tree, the branches, the trunk, can conserve that harnessed energy. So they lose their leaves to shut that off. And secondly, it's a way for the tree to conserve and preserve moisture within the branches and the trunk. And lastly, the tree needs to lose its leaves because without the leaves on the branches and the trunk, it can withstand the strain of the strong winds associated with Wisconsin storms. While we see these colored and fallen leaves often as a nuisance as they're clogging our rain gutters and our storm sewers and cluttering the lawn, being tracked into our house, they're actually a really vital part of our Wisconsin woodland ecosystem. They support biodiversity and they provide a tangible resource. First of all, the leaf litter protects plant roots and conserves soil moisture during the winter, and it also suppresses the invasion of non-native species. And ultimately, that leaf litter and the mulch breaks down into plant food for the next year's growing season. The fallen leaves also provide important winter habitat for all kinds of woodland animals, small mammals to microbes, spiders, amphibians, insects, other pollinators, all depend on that leaf litter and the associated stems and pieces of bark as critical nesting material and insulation all winter long. In the intangible value of our fall colors to Wisconsin residents may not be as easy to determine because we truly can't grasp it or contain it. But the scenic beauty that they provide is there. I mean, we know it when we see it. Wisconsinites and friends from neighboring states take day trips or even weekend getaways from the southern Kettle Moraine northward to the Eagle River, Minocqua area, from Door County westward to the bluffs along the Mississippi River, specifically to take in and enjoy the turning leaves and the fall colors in our forests. So because of that, we really need to recognize that our fall colors are truly an important part of our ecological culture, and they're an important intangible resource whose value can't be overappreciated.
Oh, the trees look nothing like that anymore.
I know, isn't it crazy what a month and a half will do?
Yeah, it sure is, but there's still plenty to do outside in this weather.
That's right, check out our website each week to learn how people in Wisconsin are enjoying this weather all year long.
Thanks for watching My Wisconsin Backyard.